All right, Teddy, you're up, my friend.
Hey, Karen, thank you. You mentioned something, and I'm paraphrasing here, that we have gotten used to working in ways that are very unproductive. And I think you said something about we need to work within our preferences and our behavioral tendencies. That might not be the exact word you use, but
Yes, that was.
I'd love to hear you unpack that idea a bit more and how you think through the process of discovering what are my tendencies and my preferences to work the most productively that I can.
So the first thing I use is how you're doing. If you're very, very overwhelmed, it means you're very likely blowing up your energy and you're not using it productively. Then I moved into assessment science, and then I move into the woo-woo. So I'm going to talk you through all of this. The first thing that I understand is that people show up for the time management problems and overwhelm, which is PS ridiculous, because all of us have read books on time management and it's a pretty simple fix. Why does it still not work? It still doesn't work because we're expending our energies almost all the time in ways that are completely contradictory to the way we actually think, communicate, and move. The second thing I then use is assessment science. I prefer DISC. How many people here are familiar with DISC? Great. How many people here are familiar with Myers-Briggs? Great. Don't use Myers-Briggs. It's about as accurate as a horoscope. DISC is more accurate. I will stand against any Myers-Briggs assessors. DISC is more accurate, more consistent over the years. And what we usually understand is that you fall into a couple of buckets: fast-paced and people-oriented, fast-paced, task-oriented, slow-paced, task-oriented, slow-paced, people-oriented. I happen to be, now this is going to be amazing to all y'all, not shocking that I'm people-oriented, but super slow-paced. So for many years, Teddy, I'm like, why am I overwhelmed? No one can focus like I can. I have yet to be bested in the homework department because I just don't have the same energy. I just don't have the same energy. I move very slowly. I actually am extraordinarily methodical. I will repeat things 1,000 times before actually getting them. That's why I need so much more time. And my attention is only available to me until around 3 p.m. Has nothing to do with diet, just a sleepy person. Now, I didn't really understand this for many years, and this is where the esoteric or the woo-woo comes in. There are also philosophies like human design that can be introduced here. They're definitely more in the woo channel, but they happen to have unusual correlations sometimes with behavioral style, and they explain a lot to us about how people are working. Now, when all of us are working basically at the same pace, particular entrepreneurs who never stop working, or high-paced executives who never stop working, we all understand that we're blowing up our energy. The classic Coach Keren client is a high D, high I. How many people here who know DISC are DIs? There you go. So here's what's happening to you. You see this little chip at the end of the cord for the computer? So this chip prevents all the electricity coming out of the wall and blowing up the computer. Y'all are missing this chip. You do not moderate your energy. You just blow it up and exhaust yourself. Blow it up, exhaust yourself. It's fast collapse, fast collapse. So again, when we start to understand what patterning is most likely to align with yours, we know where the correction needs to lie and how we can start to really align your pace with something that's much more sustainable for you. I hope that helps, Teddy. But yeah, that's one of the principal things we go through.
Yeah, thanks so much,
Teddy
Karen.
has even more questions. Teddy, you had another question?
Yeah, I'm just trying to help Kathy out. I don't want Kathy to feel anxious dropping that in the chat.
Thanks, Teddy.
But I do, Karen. So we've talked a lot about individuals, but you've been around tons of great teams. I'm curious for your perspective on the characteristics of the best teams you've been around and what makes them healthy and thriving. I'm trying not to use the word high performing.
No, it's not. That's not it.
Yeah, so I would love your perspective on
or talent, by the way.
Teams.
Yeah. So the number one thing that creates really high functioning teams is trust. And trust is only created at the top. Transparency. This is why I talk so much about integrity and about honesty. It's why I talk openly about my age, even though I'm sure you all gasped when you realized how much over 40 I am. Thank you for your gasps. The importance of honesty cannot be overstated. The importance of being able to take questions and questioning at all times it cannot be overstated. The importance of admitting when you made a mistake cannot be overstating, of tolerating failure to a point, of course, and working with extraordinarily disciplined and thorough expectations. And expectation relay, that's 50% of the game. 50% of the game. It will undo most dysfunctions. It will encourage tremendous teams. The second has to do with camaraderie, and camaraderie has to do with communication style, and the honoring of communication style. So again, DISC factors in here a lot. Many times we can explain to you why you really don't understand your team. For example, one of the last teams I was on site with was a legal counsel group in one of the big corporations. Every single one of them, high S, high C, one high D, high I. I was like, and he's so frustrated. And I'm sitting there going, of course you are. They don't have the same concept of time. They don't have the same concept of risk. And it's not because they're bad or cuckoo maluku. They're different. And so we really all need to bridge this gap. And if we can bridge this gap, we can sort of understand how to make you play together properly. The best analogy here, Teddy, is, of course, the greatest documentary series of all time, The Last Dance on Netflix. I'm assuming you've all seen it. And if you haven't, please spend 10 hours this week watching The Last Dance, a documentary about sports ball in Netflix. It is the story of how Phil Jackson, a magnificent tall coach, took the Chicago Bulls from regular people to the greatest team who ever played, including the one and only Michael Jordan. And the best analogy here is it didn't even matter at some point that Michael was so talented, because even that nice man who now coaches the San Francisco team, something Kerr, also rises to the challenge because he's part of something that is so well adapted, that the communication styles are so well honored, and everyone is therefore included in a process equally. Does that make sense?